Hey, Paul here, back with another video for you. Today we're going to talk about troubleshooting lack of progress. One of the things I love to do, I run businesses as my career. This bodybuilding stuff's just a hobby for me, something I do for fun. But one of the things I really enjoy doing is troubleshooting, figuring out problems, how to solve problems, thinking through things logically, and coming up with answers to resolve things, make progress, move forward. And I kind of will walk you through my process of troubleshooting bodybuilding problems and where I start with this. Before I get into it, let's take care of some housekeeping first. First of all, please take the time to subscribe to my channel. I get a lot of people watching my videos, not many people subscribing. YouTube doesn't give me the love if you don't subscribe. If you enjoy my video, hit that like button. If you have questions, ask them in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer all of them. I also use some of them for my Q&As. If you want to get in contact with me, my contact information is below in the description. I am Paul K. Barnett on Instagram, and my email is bigp3rd@gmail.com. It is in the description if you can't remember that. Anyway, let's take a look at this. So there are certainly more components to this. We can get really detailed down into the nitty gritty. But when my troubleshooting process, when I think about things for bodybuilding, there are many variables that you can manipulate to keep progress going. Things that when you're troubleshooting progress, there's a lot to evaluate. But I start at the high level, and for me, the high level, there's really four areas I look at that impact progress, and either negatively or positively. And if we're stuck, we're not making progress, we take a look at these areas at a high level. So I start there first. So those areas would be training, PED use. You could also throw supplements in there if you want as well. Diet, rest and recovery, and health. I kind of lump those all into one category. If you're not progressing, typically something is wrong in one of those areas. And a lot of times you'll know right away where it's at. So an example would be if you're stuck, you're trying to lose body fat, you're not losing body fat. We know that body fat is manipulated through, for the most part, through diet. That would probably be the first place where I start to look to troubleshoot. Are you tracking your food? Are your macros correct? Do we need to make an adjustment to your macros? Your food choices. What type of food are you eating? Are you eating optimal food choices? Is your digestion okay? Those are things we can look at with the diet. We could also take a look at cardio, which falls under training. Are you doing enough cardio? Are you expending enough calories? So that's an example of where I would look at. But beneath these various categories, so training, for example, training often can be one of the most difficult things for me to troubleshoot remotely. I almost have to see how you're training to, sometimes there's some things that are just apparent. But what we need to look at, the things that we need to look at with training, so the variables that are within training: volume, exercise choice, frequency, load, I would say progression / intensity. Cardio, we could throw that in there. Another thing I didn't put on here is form. Form is important. Well, if your form sucks and you aren't, so for example, let's say your chest isn't growing and we want to troubleshoot why your chest is not growing. It's probably not diet. So we can rule that out. So we would go into the training and we would take a look at your exercise choices. Are you making good exercise choices? Is your form correct? Are you using enough load? Are you progressing? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So PEDs too. PEDs could be, your diet's on point, your training's on point, your rest and recovery and health are on point, but you aren't progressing. Maybe it's time to push the PEDs a little bit more. That's usually the last thing I change. We try to eat as much out of the least possible. That's going to be the best for your health and your long-term progress. You want to save the higher amounts of gear for when you really need them. I think people get in too much of a rush to add a shit ton of gear when they can still eke more gains out of the gear that they are using. So my philosophy on gear is the least amount possible to get the job done. Sometimes you do need more. You get bigger, you're going to need more gear to progress. Sometimes you need something to push you past plateau, so you have to blast up higher for a period of time to bust past the plateau. So with PED variables, we're looking at substance choice, dose, cycle length. Is the gear any good? Are you getting shit bunk gear? Is that Primobolan you're using fake? Is that Anavar you're using fake? Is that GH you're using fake or underdosed? These are all things to consider when we're troubleshooting gear problems. Rest and recovery. This is probably the most overlooked portion when we're troubleshooting. Overtraining. People have a fear of overtraining. I rarely find that most people, very rarely find that people actually overtrain. It can happen. Sleep. Are you sleeping? I find a lot of young guys aren't sleeping. They're out partying. They're out doing stupid shit. And they're chasing women, being dumbasses like you are when you're 21. I did the same shit. Stress. This is usually in the older guys I see. You got a lot of life stress going on. Kids, work, wife. Women problems, if you have relationship problems, it makes it hard to progress in the gym. I'll be honest with you, I went through a divorce. Was not a fun time. Not probably not the best for my stress levels, keeping my cortisol low and progressing in the gym. Health markers. People don't pay attention to their health markers. If your health markers are fucked, you're probably not going to progress. If your liver's stressed out, your liver enzymes are through the roof. It doesn't matter what gear you take, what diet you're on, what training program you're on, you're probably not going to progress. So take the time to fix that. An important thing too about troubleshooting lack of progress, when you do make changes, you have to make small manipulations at a time, probably one or two variables at a time, two max. I like changing one thing. So for example, I see a lot of brand new guys that want to, start taking gear, and they want to throw in 2 or 3 compounds. They want to take, you want to take your test. You want to take your test, your nandrolone, and some D-ball with it. Well, if you start having problems, let's say you have gyno problems, is it the D-ball? Is it the nandrolone? We don't know. We have 3 things to choose from. So that's why I like adding 1 compound at a time. Try a single dose for a period of time. See how you respond to that. If you have problems with that compound, then we troubleshoot. Same thing with the diet. We make small changes to the diet at a time. Take a little bit of calories away, add a little bit of protein, see what happens. Add a little bit of fat, see what happens. We can make adjustments the following week. When people make radical changes, you're just throwing shit against the wall. You have no idea what the problem is, or if you've done anything to fix the problem. It's all guesswork at that point. So the fewer variables, the better, the easier it is to troubleshoot. That's why I don't like guys making huge changes. I like keeping things simple. The simpler your plan is, the more odds of success that you're going to have. The easier it is to manage a simple training program, a simple PED protocol, a simple diet, consistency in your personal life with rest, recovery. These make things easier to troubleshoot. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful. This just kind of gives you an idea through my thought process of troubleshooting progress. If you're having issues with progressing and you want us to kind of walk through this logic, put it down in the comments section. We'll maybe do a video on that and do a walkthrough and see if we can figure out what's going on with your stuff. Anyway, have a great day, guys.